As Nigeria seeks to deepen financial inclusion rates, Accion Microfinance Bank hosted the 2019 edition of its Financial Inclusion Seminar, which focused on the theme, Remerging Microfinance Banks, Digital Reality. It brought together industry C-suite executives, policy makers, fintech startups, donors, funders, and international development professionals to discuss the latest trends, challenges, and solutions that are driving the financial inclusion space in Nigeria. Chairman of Accion Microfinance Bank, Mr. Patrick Accion, gave further insight into the strategic intent of the event.
Today is a great day. It's about deepening, leveraging digital platforms in order to bring financial inclusion to every household. Now, for us at Accion Microfinance Bank, as we've always said, we are out here to make life better for every Nigerian. As a financial institution, we consider that not just are we in business, we do have a social responsibility of making sure that every Nigerian has access to financial independence, financial empowerment, financial autonomy, in order to contribute significantly to the growth of our economy. Now, today we will have a series of sessions meant to explore the opportunity, the global trends, the trends in Nigeria, and how we take that to actual execution. It is very important that the discourse is not left just to the banks or the fintechs or to the professional bodies. We in the microfinance industry have a prime, actually, it is our right to lead the discourse on financial inclusion. And this is why Accion Microfinance Bank decided that we would set this series up as a leadership thought process to influence and advocate for changes that make and bring to reality what we're trying to do. What are the major aims? First, cross-learning networks. Here, networking between industry leaders, networking with regulators, networking with best practice providers, and finding a common ground to summon the challenges that face us, either as a country or as an industry in the microfinance business. The whole idea is to build collaboration so that we can scale up. In the microfinance business, the real barrier to bringing financial services to every household is the cost per unit of the service. Historically, banks, and including us, microfinance entities, we've tried to do this the typical brick and mortar way. We need to bring a branch close to everybody. And by the time we put the cost of trying to do that and the cost for the customer trying to come to access the service itself, it becomes very difficult to find a financial model that makes it easy for somebody to save 200 naira a day and have access to being empowered. And then we start talking of rates of lending that are not really affordable or sustainable, or inability to get to where the customer actually needs the service. So 3 years ago, as I said, we said, let's first start the discussion from how do we make financial inclusion a reality. At that point in time, as a country, we were tethering at 40% financial inclusion. Today, we've crossed the 60% mark, and we're on the trajectory to actually get to the 80% by the year 2020.
Dr. Andrew Nevin, the Chief Economist of PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria, in his presentation, harped on the need for microfinance banks to leverage technology to achieve scale in their business.
The traditional banks cannot cost-effectively reach the very large informal economy in Nigeria. The only group that can provide financial services, which includes loans, which includes savings products, which includes microinsurance, which includes payment mechanisms, are the microfinance institutions. I think the microfinance institutions need to be at least 10 to 20 times bigger than they are today in balance sheet size over the next 5 years. 10 to 20 times bigger. So it's a challenge for Accion, it's a challenge for every microfinance institution, for the ones that maybe start in the next few years. And the question is how to get there. And as Patrick said, the only way that you can have a viable microfinance sector 10 to 20 times bigger is through the use of technology. Now, this is not unique to financial services. It's true healthcare. How do we deliver healthcare to 200 million people when we have so few doctors, so few nurses? We need to use technology. How do we deliver education? How do we deliver logistics? And of course, there's so much innovation. The conference last week with the governor was fantastic, talking about how Nigeria and Lagos in particular need to use technology to solve complex problems that we face.
For Professor Olayinka David West, the academic director of the Lagos Business School, with the explosion of data security mechanisms, IT governance issues, and the development of competencies must be taken seriously in the operations of microfinance banks.
How do we plan? How do we make better decisions when we don't know what information we're working with? And typically in Nigeria, we need to be a bit more information aware, because one of the digital tools that we're projecting and promoting is big data and data analytics. But then if we don't know how to use information, we can build data systems, but we will not exploit the value of those data systems because we're still working in what I call analog mode. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I think the biggest part is really this issue about the effective use of digital tools. And I mean effective use because technology has always had this problem where we buy and invest in technology and then we ask ourselves, and so what? What's it doing? And this payoff problem persists today, even though we still have digital technologies. How do we address it? We need to continually build skill sets. We need to continually train people. We need to continually expose people to different technologies, different tools, and begin to gradually make that mindset shift. We need to also understand that this whole idea of digital transformation is about organizational redesign. And when someone spoke about, even from the board level, as board members, are we willing to rock the boat? Are we willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater? Are we willing to test and learn? Or are we just willing to say, you know what, it works today. Nigeria is not changing. We're going to stay the way it is. Because one day, it's not even going to be the people you see. It's the people you don't see. And that's the generation which we call the tech fins, or the super techs, for example, because they're here. And like I think it was the gentleman from MTN, it's not about a bank account. It's about embedding, meeting problems, whether through its agriculture or education, but solving problems. So ladies and gentlemen, when we think about the mindset, let's think about ourselves. And let's think about every single time we failed to do things or you imagine things in the digital way.
The event featured panel sessions on collaboration within the emerging system of microfinance banks and how banks can attract, groom, and retain digital talent. Mr. Patrick Accion, Mr. Taiwo Joda, MD CEO of Accion Microfinance Bank, and Dr. Segun Aino, board members, speak on the seminar and prospects for banks in the country.
For us at Accion Microfinance Bank, we play a leadership role in bringing the leadership thought as to the future of financial inclusion in Nigeria. And this is why we set up the Financial Inclusion Series. This year is the third. This year we're talking of Remerging microfinance business and the digital reality. It's all about talking on how we leverage the explosion we are seeing in adoption of digital platforms to finally take financial inclusion to the last mile. Now, there are a number of concepts that we're exploring, and this seminar is meant to deepen the thinking around that. One is active collaboration, because there are players in the ecosystem, be it NIBS, be it SANEF, which is an agency platform of the central bank, be it various fintechs, various switches, be it the telcos. The whole idea is, how do we, as a microfinance industry, leverage on a shared basis these various digital platforms to deliver the mandate of financial inclusion to every household. We've seen that with what the central bank, the enabling environment created by the central bank, we've seen the progress made. We used to be in the 40% financial inclusion range. We're over 60% now. The whole idea is, how do we combine forces to get to over 80%? And Accion Microfinance Bank, which is a lead player, is taking on that social responsibility of bringing experts from the regulators, whether it's CBN, NDIC, SEC, the microfinance associations, the professional firms. We have PwC here with Andrew Nevin, bringing the Chartered Institute of Bankers, bringing practitioners, other microfinance entities together, so that we all work out the model of leveraging the shared platform, so that each of us are not trying in the race for deepening financial inclusion, so that each of us are not replicating same platforms and then creating inefficiency in the delivery model. And that's why we say digital reality, adopting on a shared basis core digital platforms, the mobile phone, the switches, the credit bureau information, the identification information, whether it's from NIMSI, whether it's from the telcos, whether it is from the BVN of banks, leveraging all available KYC digital information to make it faster for us, including voters registration. How do we bring those? Because voting happens at every household in Nigeria. How do we leverage those assets to now deepen financial inclusion so that we can stimulate agri, we can stimulate health, we can stimulate the creative arts, stimulate employment that is not just white-collar employment. This is the purpose of this series.
I think digital, it's not just about the microfinance bank. It's about the new world we live in. It's about the new reality, from financial transactions to the regular normal transactions of every day. Digital has come to stay. So, like the popular saying goes, that it's either you innovate or you die. It's either you reimagine yourself to face the digital reality. So, importantly for us is to bring to the awareness of the almost 1,000 microfinance banks that if we don't want to become the dinosaur in the next couple of years, the digital reality is here. And to also allay the fears that has agitated a lot of ecosystem players, that digital could be very expensive, digital is a myth, digital is a no-go area, especially for the very small unique microfinance bank. And so what we have done is to bring the players in the ecosystem together to be able to allow for cross-fertilization of ideas, and most especially to promote collaboration.
In the digital space today, we talk more about collaboration and partnerships. It's not about competition. And if you look at it from that perspective, every player, be you a technology company, be you a telco, be you a microfinance bank or whatever, have to leverage on your strengths to bring in other players. And by so doing, you are, outsourcing your weak areas and also, onboarding your strength. And to that extent, Microfinance Bank, being relatively small financial institution, may not have the financial capability or the resources to be able to do those things that they need to do on their own. And that is why it's very important that they leverage on the strengths of other players in the ecosystem, telecom companies, technology companies, even their big brothers, the big bank, to leverage on their strength to be able to deliver what they need to do. About 36% of adult Nigerians are not banked, and over 80% of these are in the rural areas. The only way you can profitably reach them is by using technology, because today most of the small villages and small towns, you don't find any conventional deposit money bank. Yet these people need to transact financial businesses. We have seen that the easiest way to reach them is through digital, particularly with the advent of mobile phone, with the very wide use of mobile phones. It's very easy because more people in Nigeria have mobile phone compared to people that have bank accounts. So through the mobile phone, you can reach, probably about 90% of adult Nigerians, and you can then use the power of mobile technology to be able to render financial services to them. Also, the issue of data and so on is also very, very important in terms of access to financial services in those areas. And that's one thing that we need to put together the ecosystem, including the government, including the big corporates, to be able to provide the necessary data services, internet facilities, cheap, affordable, and available at all times. So that otherwise, if those are not available, it will be very difficult unless we're able to deepen the pace of getting offline financial transaction mechanism. They will be able to reach everybody that needs to be reached in terms of providing not only financial services, but also letting them, improve on their economic well-being, because that ultimately will be the benefit of financial inclusion, where it's not only just about opening bank account, but using those bank accounts to transfer your business and then improving your economic well-being, by so doing contributing to the GDP of the country.
As the year 2020 beckons for Nigeria and its quest to achieve 80% financial inclusion, a major driver of that process will be an efficient, tech-minded, and highly innovative microfinance banking ecosystem that is willing to collaborate to achieve scale in the financial ecosystem.